Hey, this is Rick, and welcome to Warriors Respite. I am a therapist, a trauma counselor, an addictions counselor, and today I want to talk about some of the sayings I really like from 12-step, and I'm going to go and I pulled stuff on offline, but some of them that I like to talk about often as well. And you can find me, I have a YouTube channel, Twitter, at LBRT Social Work. Find me on Instagram. Come follow me on all the places. It'll be really cool if you start following me and following me on Spotify and all that jazz. And I really do a lot of content about recovery and trauma recovery and bettering your life and just like being a better person. And I think everybody has trauma in some sort. Everybody needs to learn to deal with their emotions some sort. I am a combat vet. I have dealt with trauma in my past. I've been on both sides of this thing. I've been on both sides of addiction. I know what needs to be done to heal. And Happy New Year, by the way. This is, I'm recording on January 2nd, and I need to drop a couple pounds here, and so I'm kind of working on that, trying not to eat too much, and so I'm working on my addiction of food and laziness. So let's start off with, one I was talking about earlier with one of my patients. I can't think of how it really goes. I wasn't really looking for it online, but one I really like, it goes something like this. Somebody email me at rickrdgrs1316@gmail.com or leave messages in the comments if I got this wrong, but it's not complicated. We are complicated. Somewhere along those lines, or it's not complicated, we make it complicated. I just feel like things, it goes along the line of this: keep it simple, stupid. And I don't even like the word stupid, but just keep it simple. You ever hear the phrase KISS, or the acronym KISS, keep it simple, stupid? Now, I learned this in high school. I learned the idea of keeping things simple. We tend to overcomplicate things. And when I keep things simple, I make money in my business. When I keep things simple, people pay attention to my content. When I keep things simple, I do a better job at work. I do a better job for my patients. I do a better job for my family. Keeping things simple, because in our minds, we gotta do these complicated, big tasks. We gotta make it look so great. But keeping things simple is what makes things great. It's really what makes things impressive, because you can bring out your true form when you keep things simple. And that's really probably what I need to do for my podcast, is to keep things simple. So I learned this when I was doing papers in college. I would try to use big words, try to use fantastical punctuations and stuff like that. Notice how I'm not making things simple by using words like fantastical, which is probably not a word. But I started using that in my regular life. Sometimes I forget and I take a step back, because then I do things wrong, and then I simplify things, and then it becomes easier. So keep it simple. Don't make it complicated. But that's the thing. We do these things, all right? It's not that easy. It's not that hard, excuse me. Life isn't hard. We are making things complicated. We worry about what other people think of us, but it's not that difficult. It doesn't matter. We worry about whether or not our emotions are validated. So we fish for compliments. But in the end, like, if I get a compliment, I don't feel as good as I thought I would feel. If my emotions are validated in the fact that I got what I wanted, but it didn't feel the way I thought it would feel, then what was the point? Because at one point, when someone said, "Good job," it felt great. But now I just want somebody to say good job to me all the time. I want someone to say, "Oh, you look great," all the time. But it doesn't feel that great when you tell me all the time, when I'm fishing for compliments, when I'm being a victim all the time. I try to complicate things to get validation all the time. Keep it simple. You don't need it. You need to focus on yourself. It doesn't matter in the end. Once you realize things don't matter, then you can keep it simple. Here's one that you hear all the time in 12-step. One day at a time. We talk about having a bad day and going through a lot of pressure because we're focused on what's going to happen in the future. And I need to finish everything at once. Take a breath, dude. Take a breath. Just focus on today. You know, I get people, especially with addiction, "Oh, I gotta worry about I'm gonna be an addict for the rest of my life." No, don't worry about the rest of your life. Worry about today. It's today. That's what you gotta worry about. It doesn't matter what's gonna happen tomorrow. People get hung up on what's gonna happen in the future. People get hung up on if they're going to have enough money in the future. You can't control what's going to happen in the future. You accept the future, you plan for the future, but the only thing you could really control is what you do right now. That's it. One day at a time. There is no use in focusing on what happens in the future. The only thing you can do is accept what is going to happen in the future. And if you've listened to my podcast before, it's not accepting what's going to happen. It's accepting how you feel about what's going to happen. I'm going to get evicted. Accept it. You're going to get evicted. Okay, what's next? Let's say you get evicted. What's next? Because focusing on I'm going to get evicted is not going to help. Dwelling on it is not going to help. Okay, then what do you do if you get evicted? What's the plan if you get evicted? But just focusing on I'm going to get evicted is not helping you. You're not focusing on a plan for if you get evicted. That ain't helping you. What's the plan? One day at a time. Focus on today. Next, here's an interesting one. Progress, not perfection. People get hung up on what I call, or cognitive behavioral therapy calls, black and white thinking. It's the idea that because there's bad, that the good doesn't matter. So, I tell people, let's say, I tell somebody, you're doing good. So someone's hung up on their financial problems. I tell them they're doing good. You have finances. And they say, yeah, but I got these problems. I got these financial problems. yes, there are things that can be improved. And they say, then it doesn't matter. Wait, hold on a second. Just because you have problems, just because you have things that need to be improved, doesn't mean the positive doesn't matter. You're doing okay right now. Doesn't mean you can't save up money for the future. And so you catastrophize. You make things that aren't as big of a deal right now and say the positive doesn't matter because it's not perfect. There is only one perfect man, ma'am. That's what Captain America said. You're not going to be perfect, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. You have to take the good with the bad. You ever hear that before? It's okay that there's going to be negative, but what's important is that you've made progress, but you're never, ever going to feel, if you think that things got to be perfect, you drive for perfection, then you're just going to be uncomfortable and you're going to feel weak. Next one I like to talk about is cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Now, I talked about this in a TikTok video, Warriors Respite, TikTok. Nothing in your life matters without gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful thing. And if you do not have gratitude for where you are at right now, then you will never, ever be satisfied for where you will be. If you sit there and say, I wish I was somewhere else, I wish it was better, then you will never, ever feel better when it is better. You have to have gratitude where you're at now. That is not to say don't set goals to make it better. Set goals to make it better, but you have to have gratitude for where you're at now. When you make it better, you will have gratitude then. You have celebrities, millionaires, billionaires, overdosing on drugs. Why? Because they don't have gratitude for where they're at. Why are they using drugs? Why are they overdosing? Because when you're using, you do not have gratitude. Take what you can, use and leave the rest. In life, we're often presented with unsolicited advice that can just as easily incite anger as it can positive steps in the right direction. The choice is yours to make regarding how you will interpret the help or concerns from others. If it's not useful to you, then discard it. I tell people, own your shit. This ain't from 12-step. Own your shit. Take what's useful. Own your shit. Let the rest of the shit slide off of you. If people want to throw shit at you, let it slide off of you. Own it. So, if it's useful for you, I'll take it. But it's not useful to me, I have no reason for it. Your emotions are yours and are not useful to me. But your love is useful to me. But if you want to sling shit at me, that's just going to slide right off me. Because I own my shit. And if you want to give me your love, then I'll let you in my life. But if you want to sling shit at me, I'll just leave you where you stand. And that's a difficult thing to say. Because sometimes it's your brother, it's your sister, it's your mother, it's your father. But you gotta do what you gotta do. The next one, live and let live. Again, it's up to you if you want to be in my life or not. But boundaries are strong. Boundaries are strong. We don't need to hold on to grudges. This is difficult for me. This is very difficult for me because I am a hothead. I identify with Raphael, the Ninja Turtle. I have anger problems. Ask my friends, ask my family. I got them. But they're insignificant because they do nothing for me. What is the reason for it? Why am I getting all worked up over this stuff? Just let it be. Next one. You're only as sick as your secrets. So, step 4 is one that people tend to drop out of. That's where people tend to go up in their head and pull out everything and put it down on paper and admit everything. Again, owning your shit. And this is again where I say, people throw shit at you, it don't matter because I'm covered in shit and it'll slide off me. You can't throw your shit at me. You're only as sick as your secrets. I'm owning my shit. I own everything I've ever done. I have no secrets. I have no shame. I have no guilt. When I have guilt, here's the thing. My only guilt is the things that I've done wrong. But we tend to hold guilt because we don't want to blame other people. So we hold on to guilt that's not ours. We need to let go of guilt that is not ours and hold on to guilt that is ours. And allow ourselves to feel guilty. Because drug use and alcohol use is us trying to feign guilt and trying to we are a paper dragon. We're a glass tower. We are waiting to be shattered. We are vulnerable. We are hiding our vulnerabilities with drugs and alcohol. And we wear this mask, and that's why it's such a selfish drug. It's such a selfish illness. Because we're hiding ourselves, and we take no responsibility. Take it off, own everything, and own your secrets. And own your guilt, own your shame. Own yourself. You are responsible, and you take accountability for every little thing and be free of it all and only hold on to yours and keep your side of the road clean and let them have theirs. Let them be responsible for theirs. You're not placing blame, you're just looking at reality. Another one of my favorite ones, time takes time. Because we get impatient. Here's the thing about time, and we got the one day at a time. We're way past that, but it doesn't take that long. I mean, we need to set a goal. Here's what I set a goal. I said, like, I'm turning my life around in a year. I said that probably a couple times. And I probably did it the first time, but I didn't feel like I did it. But I probably did a little bit better than I was. Then I did it again. Felt a little bit better. I probably did it a couple times. But when I look up and I say, I'm going to change my shit in 5 years, It looks like a long road. 5 years ain't that long. 1 year ain't that long. 6 months ain't that long. And I work with people every day as a social worker, as a therapist. And I've seen people change in 6 months. They don't feel like they changed in 6 months, but I'm watching them do it in front of my eyes, week after week, 1 hour at a time. I watch people do it. I watch people change. They feel the same, but their behaviors change. It's an amazing thing. I've been doing this, for me, I've been changing for 2 decades now. 15 years, 14 years, maybe a decade. I don't know. Long time. Over 10 years. And, still changing. Because we're not alive for that long. 80 years ain't that long, dude. It ain't that long. We're babies. 80 years, you're still a baby. That's the way I look at it. But time takes time, but it ain't that long. Allow yourself time. Be compassionate with yourself. I think we just get impatient with ourselves. Like, chill. It ain't that long. Chill. Misery is optional. Now, here's my thing on that. And I think this needs help. I feel like this needs help with somebody. As a therapist, I'm biased to get a therapist. But oftentimes recovery coaches and sponsors know what they're talking about. But I like to look at it as acceptance. You have to accept your emotions. If you don't allow yourself to feel, then you are suffering. Don't fight your emotions. But when you are drinking and drugging, you are not allowing yourself to feel. When you stop drinking and drugging, you're fighting your emotions without the drugs and alcohol. So it becomes even harder. So take time to allow yourself to feel. Pretty simple. Next is humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Humility is a hell of a thing and a very hard thing, and one thing I definitely struggle with. Humility is something I struggle with to this day. You gotta have confidence, and it's interesting because people want to look down on themselves, but at the same time feel like they have to stick up for themselves, as if everybody's looking down on them when people are not looking down on them. Everybody just feels like they're advocating for themselves, which might not make sense, but it does to me. So take that for what it is. But humility is definitely important because entitlement is the opposite of gratitude. And if you don't have gratitude, you're entitled. And if you don't have humility, you are entitled. And if you aren't thinking of yourself less, then you're acting entitled. And people who are acting entitled are being looked down upon by other people. This is a hard habit to break. Being entitled is a very hard habit to break. And I think when you realize you're acting entitled and you don't know how to break out of that habit, you look down on yourself and you don't know how to get out of that cycle. And it takes lots of practice. And then you shut down on it. And it's just a back and forth roller coaster. So it's definitely a difficult one. Live life on life's terms, which goes with humility. Living life on life's terms, you're gonna get a DUI. You're gonna overdose. You're gonna lose your wife. You're gonna lose your car. You can't stop it, dude. Like, you cannot stop what is coming. If the drugs and alcohol, if your behavior, if your friends want to leave you, if the cops, the cops don't care, the judge don't care. Life doesn't care. Life doesn't have feelings for you. Life doesn't have empathy for you. Thing is, sometimes we get real lucky. We get real lucky. So, we go against the grain, and we think that we are right, and we don't have humility, and so we fight and fight and fight. But we end up just digging a hole for ourselves. And addicts tend to, once we hit rock bottom, pick up a shovel or pick up a pickaxe and start breaking rock. I like this one. Slip. Sobriety lost its priority. If you don't want to slip, stay off the ice. And the ice would be going to a bar. Oh, here it is. It's a simple program for complicated people. But I also look at it as it's not complicated. We're just complicated people. I just look at it as life is not complicated. But, I kind of just take these sayings and put them in life in general. That's why I'm saying, it's not just about 12-step. It's just this is the way I look at life, Keep coming back, It doesn't have to be just 12 steps. It can be the gym. It can be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It could be whatever you're trying to get better at. Keep coming back. You're going to get better at it. Because when I was going to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I was thinking, I did that for 6 years. I haven't been for a while. Which, that's a thing that I gave up on. But I got really good at it. Was doing really good. If I would have kept coming back, I'd probably be a purple belt, brown belt by now. So that's just the way it is. And, of course, the very best one I've been saying since I was in high school. And thing I want to give to you, hugs, not drugs. So anyways, this is Rick. I bid ye farewell, and please check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Warriors Respite, Richard Rogers on Twitter, or X, Rick Rogers at LBRT Social Work on X or Twitter, Warriors Respite on Instagram. Come hang out with me and say some cool stuff and a little high five and stuff. Alright, well, thanks for listening and have a happy new year, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.